Mr. Branscum, with the need for expansion of the jail evident, how will you go about securing funding for an expansion, and where would you put an expansion?
My plans already, as I've outlined them, involve asking and writing grants. I research a great deal of that. I would write grant funding to try to bring in federal and even foundation funding to help to offset the cost of the expansion. I also think there's programs that we would look at to eliminate the emerging need for expansion right away, because there's alternatives to incarceration programs that need to be looked at that would be much cheaper on the taxpayers and the citizens of this community. So I would look in that avenue as well. But the funding streams are there. It's just a matter of locating them and identifying them, and I feel like I could do that.
As Mr. Branscum said, I would try to attempt to secure grants. The county would evidently pay the most of that, because most grants would be a percentage base. There's already been a feasibility study to do an expansion at the current facility, a $12 million project that would make the facility to 380 beds, which any expansion is good expansion, because currently the inmates are sleeping on the floors on mats. It's overcrowded to 60 or so inmates every day. The overall goal was to be able to build a facility out in the county away from the city limits. So if we run into the same problem 20 years down the road, we have the room to expand. Not only have the room to expand, but with that land we have secured, the county already owns, which would save money. We could bring more programs to the facility, like the inmate garden program that I plan to bring, that would eliminate any two locations. We could have everything on one facility and continue to bring programs to make it a better facility.
Question number 2. Given recent issues of drug abuse among both inmates and jail employees, how do you plan on addressing that, and what procedures will you put in place to prevent it from happening in the future?
I would stiffen the policy and procedure on the drugs on the staff and the inmates. I think it's imminent that we investigate the drug problems that we have in the detention center, not only with the inmates but the personnel, and prosecute just like you would on the street. I'm involved in several investigations throughout my career as a law enforcement officer, and if we prosecute and investigate what's going on inside just like we would outside, we can eliminate the drug problem and contain it to where it should be.
I've already outlined a drug elimination program that I've spoke about publicly. This program will involve counseling. It will involve professionals throughout the community who are already here, resources that currently exist that we can tap into without creating a financial budget pitfall. Drug testing, of course, would be part of the initial program, but it's only a part of it, because you have to go much further than that. You have to look at underlying causes and reasons that people have developed substance abuse problems. 2/3 of the inmates serving time right now are in there because of drug-related offenses, and we have to turn that tide. We have to curb it. So this program would do that by working with the inmate, but also working with the family members of those inmates to help to identify the reasons and to look and do the research as to why people are using.
Question number 3. What types of programs will you put in place to help released inmates become law-abiding citizens and not end up back in jail?
Those programs will begin while they're incarcerated. I have a set of programs already designed that I can envision, but I would also look to the current staff that's at the detention center to ask for their input. I have a citizen steering committee advisory panel of people that have joined already, and we're starting to meet already to look at alternatives and programs that can be put into place. I think family counseling, I think job skills training, furthering their education is paramount, helping them to get their GED to where when they do see the release, they're employable. We have to do something to help their cause. We owe that to them. They're serving their debt to society, but that 16 months to 12 months, whatever time they're in there, they can be making progress toward being a more productive citizen upon their release.
There are some already programs in place. Currently, Bud Skillman does a G program down at the jail, and our GD program, as well as our RCC, which is Restricted Custody Program, is modeled throughout the state. The state uses those programs to teach other facilities. And the programs I'd like to bring in is, for instance, the program that Fayette County uses is Life Practices. It's a 12-step program that it's not just a program where you can take a test and you pass. You have to show that you're dedicated to the program. Bridges in the Community is a program that's already used by the detention center that monitors all home incarcerations and substance abuse programs. So, people that are in there for substance abuse. As well as using other people that are already involved in the community and broaden those programs where people that have been through the problems, have been arrested for a drug problem and have overcame that problem, they can come back and mentor. I think it's if we can have people in the community that can go and say, this is how I overcame this problem, and guide those people, the less chance of reincarceration would occur.
Question number 4. What direct plans do you have in training staff on jail operations?
My direct plan was to provide more training. Currently, the staff is required 8 hours of training per year, which is in-house. People from the state come in and provide that training to all the staff. If we build a new facility, it'd more likely be a direct supervision facility, and that requires 40 hours. I would like to broaden the in-house training for the deputies through either local law enforcement agencies to come in and assist training, as well as outsourced training where either myself or other officers in the detention center can go out to get specific training on any type of specific training that would help the safety of not only the inmates and the staff, but the community. I think that's key, and ongoing continuous training, either roll call training where they can bring that information out, and have the staff have ideas and train the staff daily. The more training, the better. You can never be you can never train enough.
I think it'd first be important to sit down and look at the current policy and procedures, look at the current training records, the documentation that's in place. I think you'd have to review that to see where we are as to where we need to be. The Kentucky Department of Corrections has an accreditation program that would be one of the first things I would look at. The guidelines are already set. The training recommendations are already set. They bring it in. They set this up with you to meet the needs of your facility. There's also standards and accountability that are put into place with that, whereby the detention center would be held to a higher degree of professionalism, and we would have the state overseeing that, as well as national mandates that would keep us up to date on what's expected plus what legally is required within a detention center. I think the local training also is good. We have a lot of talented people in the detention center that can carry on, roll call type trainings and specialized trainings. We could send them out and let them come back and train the other employees here, and I would definitely be looking at that. I'm certified in like 24 different training areas, so training is something that I'm familiar with, and I know the importance of it.
Question number 5. Given a recent incident in which an inmate walked out the front door, what are your plans to tighten up booking and releasing procedures?
Once again, it's going to come down to a policy and procedures issue, daily operations issue, but one of the things that I've already looked at, and I've spoke about this one, is a barcoding system for inmates. It's a program that I've already spoken with software companies, and you can get wristbands to put on inmates that are scannable. I mean, every time they do anything within the detention center, from taking medicine to having money put on their inmate account to having fees assessed, all the way up to that release point, you scan, and that comes right up for you on the computer system. So the chances of the wrong person walking out are eliminated by doing that. And it also would help us to to track the inmates, their progress. Every class that they take, we'd be able to track things along that line. But the safety would just be increased by huge amounts by having this program, because we would know where the inmates are supposed to be, where they're at, their court appearances, when they're supposed to be out of the detention center, but track their every move that way.
It's definitely a policy issue. I think the best thing would be to research what is the best solution for the problem. I know currently, as Mr. Branscum stated, Boyle County uses the bracelet program, which they scan anytime they go in for court, anytime they come out when they're released. I have the opportunity to where I go out on a lot of times where I get to go to other facilities and see how they release, because I'm taking those inmates out. Fayette County uses, they have to memorize a lot of information, which I think that's what happened there. But photo IDs, possibly a bracelet, but the staff needs to be more familiar with the inmates is the #1 problem. And there's a lapse there and a policy issue that needs to be addressed.
Question number 6. What is your feelings on alternative means of detention, such as ankle bracelets and house arrest, and how will you utilize these?
There's already several, just like I talked about the bridges in the community that monitor some home incarcerations, the ankle bracelets, caps, we use those as well. I think they're very important to the community for low-risk inmates. It's not only saving the county money, but the state money. I think they're great. I think that as long as we make sure the right classification of inmates are being used in those programs, they can be a great success to the community.
I think they're one of the ways that we are going to offset the rising cost of having a detention center budget increase that we see every year. I think they have to be done. They have to be utilized. Identifying and knowing the inmates that are suitable for these type programs is going to be important. So the classification has to be done up front, and you really have to look at their history, what offense they committed, if they have previous time in a detention center, what was their behavior then, to make these decisions. But when you find people that are suitable for this type of alternative to incarceration, I think you have to do it. It saves the money. It also allows the detention center more bed space, whereby state inmates can be brought in, bringing more revenue into the county, and to help to further offset the cost of the detention center. We owe it to them, as I said before. This gives them a chance to get a step up on what is waiting for them, to learn more job skills, to get out and work on work groups where they can develop job skills, on-the-job training, and it makes them more marketable once they come out. And we have to look at that.